Rise and shine, it's a brand new day. Ken can take the stage, ready to play. Weekdays at 10, the cars and the scene. Coffee in hand, they're living the dream. Aggression in the voice, got the whole town awake. Bringing fire to the mic, make no mistake. Shows in the corner, spitting out facts. Dropping truth bombs, ain't holding back. Ken in the morning, feel the heat. From 10 a.m. CST, can take a seat. Live and loud, they're breaking the mold. Light up your speakers, crank up the sound. They're talking about life upside down. Opinions exploding like a sonic blast. In the studio, they're built to last. With passion and grit, they engage and ignite. Every single week, they're a force can't fight. From sports to politics,
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Hey, good morning. It's Monday. Yeah. Hope you all had a great holiday weekend. Good morning, Fred. Yep, just like Fred said. Oh, geez, but now Fred's gonna die. Hold on. Fred. I like you, Fred, but I'm gonna go there this morning. Woo. Hey, some bad news for Bears fans. We got hit twice this weekend. So Fred's going to be happy. The Bears aren't going to get the comp picks. They keep trying to talk to the NFL about it. I mean, look, the rule says what it says. And the NFL is trying to say that now a GM's not a GM because a former player is now the president of football operations. Make it make sense. I guess now it only applies when they want it to apply. That's the NFL for you. But the bigger news out of Chicago, the draft picks, the compensation picks would be nice. Won't lie, but that's not the everything. Yeah, and then there's a lot of people with that, Fred. I mean, it's crap. The Bears didn't have. They could have blocked the whole thing because of the Rooney Rule. Then yeah. But Bears fans got another whammy. So Ozzie Trapillo, who went out towards the end of the year last year with an injury, we were hoping to have him back by the beginning of the season. Ben Johnson said he might not be back at all for the entire season. Ozzie Trapillo next year. So left tackle becomes more understandable why they re-signed Braxton Jones, which, like some Bears fans, like Broski, just do not like him at all. But it makes more sense now why they re-signed Braxton Jones to the deal this year, because Ozzie Trapillo might be out the whole year. So yeah, that happened, or was released. So that's going to make life a little more interesting. Yeah, quiet weekend this weekend. Maybe because we had a holiday. They're always trying to get a little more in the draft talk. Most of the news was speculation on guys like Ty Simpson and what people are going to do in the draft. Is Will Levis going to be out of Tennessee? The draft is fast approaching. I know we talked about the quarterback situation last week. I don't know. Do you guys see more than two going in the first round, or do you guys only see the Raiders at number one and then Ty maybe flipping down to the second round? It's going to be interesting. This is not a great quarterback draft class. I can't think of any one player that I've heard anything about. We're like, oh my god, I gotta have him. I think it's a solid draft class, but nothing to write home to mama about, so to speak. You know what I mean? There's some interesting players, but this is a hard draft class for me to get hype on. I don't know. Lions fans haven't really been, and the Lions chatmen haven't been too up on it either. I mean, just the Vikings fans, same way, even though they don't have a GM yet. That's supposed to happen after the draft. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about the draft coming up? I'm kind of like in that place where it's like, all right, cool, it's happening. We're going to get some guys. Poles, and from my team's perspective, Poles, he hits, man. On the 13 first and second round draft picks in his time in Chicago, 12 are still in the roster. Only one isn't. Um, so I feel good about, okay, we're going to get two players added to this roster that are probably going to be quality and be with this team for a minute. But there's no one who's like, oh my God, I got to have them. It's not like we have. I mean, I'm happy in a way, and it's weird. I'm happy the hype train has died down because I thought we've been overhyping the draft the last couple years. But in a weird way, this might be a strange case of be careful what you wish for, because now there's no hype on the draft. I'm just going, it's the draft. It's the draft. As for Lions, I don't know or care as long as the player is going to be decent. Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness, hold on. We got a jackwagon in the house. Morning, Yinzer. Yeah, I mean, it's weird this draft though, isn't it, fellas? I mean, it's like the last couple years has been a ton of hype on the draft. I know as a Bears fan, obviously we had hype for other reasons. Drafting number one. Well, we had high first round draft picks, stuff like that. Um, the draft is who we thought they were. Yeah, this draft just like there's not a singular player that's over that. Ruben Bain maybe might be the hype guy. I don't know. I don't know because we've been hyped up on some edge rushers and whatnot before, and I mean, like look at we were talking about the quarterback classes, right? We talked about the thing that stuck out, which is now mind blowing. The Bears could have had Micah Parsons in that draft, but they took Justin Fields at 11, and they took Micah was drafted by the Cowboys, or no, the Bears took him at was it 10 or later? Micah was picked after Justin Fields, and I was like, wow. Yeah, no COVID interference this time. No fifth-year seniors that that had an extra time. It's just like there's no generational anything, which is nice to not hear that. Like I'm tired of hearing every year how we have a generational player coming out. But there's no one that I'm really just like going, yeah, the Bears need to go get this guy. I'm like Fred. I'm like, just get me some decent guys who fill holes I need. Like, get me a good safety. I know I need that. And then work on my trenches. I don't even see, and that's the thing, man. That thing, Bane's like the big name, but he's got the T-Rex thing going on, right? Um, yeah, he was really good in college, but where does he fit in the NFL game? Is this going to be that draft like for five years from now? We're going to look back at it and go, yeah, it was nothing but defensive line and offensive line that worked out from this draft, at least in the first round. I don't know. I mean, I know Joe's hype on Mendoza, and I mean, there's some reason for that. But remember, we looked over quarterbacks taken in the first round last week, and that list is not that impressive. So I really don't. It's just hard for me to be hype on the draft, and there has not been enough going on in other league stuff, contract signings. Like they're losing. I think not that we're losing interest, but it's just been really dead. Um, yeah, I don't know. Crazy, man. This draft, I have no feeling on it one way or the other. Oh, here's Joe. Morning, Joe.
What's up, Chris?
Hey, we were talking about the draft and just how, like, I don't know, it's just kind of like there. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's not like we're hype on the draft. Like, yeah, okay, the draft is coming, big deal. We're hopefully we'll get a solid player or two. I mean, for you, it's different. You got the number one overall. You're taking Mendoza. You're getting a franchise quarterback. But after that, the rest of this draft is just kind of like,
I mean, I could see why. I could see why you would say that. It's
I mean, like,
It's kind of a one quarterback. Well, could be a one quarterback class.
yep. And the position players, there's no like wide receiver. Everyone's like, oh my god, they got to get him. Or Bain might be the biggest name out there, but even with that, it's like, well, he's too small to be an NFL edge, but too big to be a linebacker. I don't know where he's going to be. I don't know. He's got those little T-Rex arms, so it's not like he's going to be great in coverage as a linebacker either. But yet he's the best quote unquote pass rusher in the draft based off of college performance. And that's great and all, but where's he going to fit in the NFL? I mean, this draft has more question marks than I guess we have been used to the last couple years.
Yeah. No, you're right. And it's not just Reuben Bain either. I mean, you got Caleb Downs, right? Caleb Downs is the best safety in the draft, and he's got a knee, like he's got a deteriorating or a degenerative knee issue, right? Which means it's only going to get worse. You got there's no real consensus number one receiver in the draft. Carnell Tate was thought to be, but now you're hearing about Mekhi Lemon, you're hearing about Jordan Tyson, KC Concepcion, like whatever. So
I mean, that's what I mean. It's like this draft, it seems like minus, number one. And look, I think he is a clear consensus number one pick. I mean, the national championship game, everything else, it kind of fits the mold, if you will, of the pre-draft hype train and reality that this kid's probably going to be pretty good for the Raiders. Based on what we've seen, the Raiders should be excited for getting him, especially now with picking up Kirk Cousins, as we talked last week, to mentor him. But after that, there's like no game changers. Like Mendoza for you guys could be a game changer, right? After Mendoza, though, there's no game changer hype on anyone. They're like just a bunch of solid guys, and a few that there is a little bit of hype on. They come with baggage, injury history, and I think the JJ McCarthy is the big, huge elephant in the room that other teams are starting to realize that, hey, yeah, while JJ McCarthy might be a good quarterback, he was injured a lot in college, and to think he's not, that doesn't translate into the NFL world as far as being injured a lot. It does. So now you get these guys, yeah, they're really good in college, but had a lot of injuries, and so now they're taking a hit now again. Reality is sinking back in on these guys. Ooh, Woody with some fire for you, Joe. Mendoza is not NFL ready, says Woody. But
that's why he gets to sit behind Cousins.
Joe.
That's why he gets to sit behind Cousins. Just in case he's not NFL ready, which I disagree. I think he is. I think he's as NFL ready as he's going to get, because he's not going to get any more athletic. I mean, he might get a little bit. NFL training regimen is a little bit different, so he might,
It might give him more time to let the games slow down for him.
Yeah.
He'll get that. He'll get the Jordan Love treatment, where by the time Jordan Love became a starter, the game had significantly slowed down for him versus when he was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get that. It'll give him. It buys Mendoza more time to get into that quote unquote battle rhythm of the NFL.
Yeah, I see what you're saying though, like about the draft, because the more I think about it, it's like there's been a lot of change in the projections in the last month or a few weeks, like because for a while it was like Fernando Mendoza is going 1 and Arvell Reese is going 2. Like he's going to the Jets, like he's the best pass rusher, but he's a linebacker, but he's the best pass rusher. And now it's like I've seen situations, like I've seen mock drafts where Arvell Reese goes down like 22. I've seen the one consistent thing that I have seen is Jeremiah Love, the running back, not making out of, well, there's been a couple. Jeremiah Love not making making it out of the top 10, and Reuben Baines seems to go somewhere around 9, like to the Chiefs or to the Saints. Like he seems to be, a top 10 pick, but yeah, it's like look at Sonny Styles. Like I've seen all those guys mocked anywhere from number 2 overall to number 22 overall. It's like there doesn't really seem to be any, like you said, no consensus.
I mean, I know for the Bears, like odds are they're going to probably draft a safety in the first round. But that's my thinking, at least, because we do have a spot that needs to be filled on the roster. We only have 3 on the roster, I believe, right now in safety, and we like to carry 4. But even as I'm saying that, Joe, in the back of my head, going, yeah, but Ken, I can get a good one in the second round, probably too. So I guess I should amend it to say I think the Bears are going to take a safety somewhere in their first 2 picks. They've got we got like 3 picks or 4 picks in the top 90. Let me look at that really quick. I mean, Bears 2026. We have, I think, at least 3. We have the number, so we in the first round we have just 25, and then we got picks 25, 57, 60, and pick 89 in the third. So the top 100, we have 4 picks. We have 3 in the top 60. That's the more significant piece, right? They can get a good safety at 57 or 60. So, and the way polls, I mean, of his 13 picks in the first and second round since he's been there, of his 13, 12 are still on this roster. He's got a really good track record in the first and second round. Really good track record. Third round's a little iffy. And then, he's like everyone else, I think, in the latter rounds. But you look at Monangai in the 7th round last year and like, wow. So I have faith that we're going to get 3 quality players. And at least one of them will be a safety. But after that, man, I have no clue where the Bears are going to go. Because, Broski came and teased, hey, the Bears might get this running back in the first round instead. While I think that the running back room is actually good as is, maybe he does go to draft Swift's eventual replacement. Remember, Swift's a free agent at the end of the year. Or does he wait another year and get a rookie next year to pair with Monangai? And then you have to ask the question, was Monangai a one-hit wonder? Is he going to be able to produce like he did last year, being a 7th round draft pick? The Bears, I know we're going to probably get a safety at some point. I don't think we're going to draft an edge, which is what Bears fans want. But with Dio there, and with the noise they're talking about Dio, I don't see an edge. I mean, I could see defensive tackles. I could see offensive linemen, linebackers. But yeah, it's just it's weird.
At 25, there's still a chance that you have some really good defensive tackle prospects on the board. And I don't know, to me, defensive tackle is a more impactful position than safety. Like, so I would think that you would go there,
Yeah, because Brady Jr. is getting younger. This will be year 12 for him.
Yeah, I mean, you got some interesting players. Caleb Banks, for example, like he's the consensus number 1 defensive tackle in the draft. He's a nose tackle. He can play nose tackle, or he's going to be an absolute load as like a 3 technique. Like, but he's got that foot injury, like where he has the broken bone in his toe or something like that.
See, here's the funny thing. So everyone likes to talk about AI. So Google AI did a synopsis thing of the Bears team's need and draft strategy. This is the Google AI Bear mock draft. First round edge, Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. Second round taking a linebacker from Texas Tech and a wide receiver from Notre Dame. They're taking, according to Google AI, they take, then what they did is, they take the aggregate of all the published polls online, how the AI does its thing. In the second round, they have them taking linebacker Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech, wide receiver Malachi Fields from Notre Dame, another Fields, great. Hey, if he wears number 1, we don't have to worry about changing the jerseys. The 3rd round defensive tackle, Daryl Jackson from Florida State. 4th round offensive tackle, J.C. Davis from U of I, University of Illinois. And then round 7, taking another edge from Florida and a defensive tackle from Kentucky. That could be right, but you know what's missing from there, Joe? There's no safety. I mean, and even when you get like Google AI, who does the consensus of all the different draft boards that have been published and does its computations, that's what Google AI came up with for the Bears.
I like Malachi Fields for you guys though. Like,
Me too. And get him at 60? Yeah, I think that would we could use it. I think that would be appropriate with the wide receiving room. But I mean, we've got 3 really good. I think Zach Ayes, not Zach Ayes. I'm sorry. What's now I'm brain farting. God, he had the big catch in the Packers game. But people sleep on him. He didn't get used much this season. He was an undrafted free agent rookie. Had a big preseason. He had the big catch against Kansas City in the preseason too. But he's a good 3 right now, and I'm brain farting. I'm sorry. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look at going to having another, young top end receiver, first or second round receiver on this roster with what we've with Burden and Odunze, I think works.
yeah, especially, you know what? I mean, I like Malachi Fields, but if Zachariah Branch was there, I think if you guys got Zachariah Branch, he's your speedster. He's that guy. He can be not just a speed receiver, but a gadget guy, like your jet sweep guy. Like he's ridiculously fast and agile and like shifty. He's I think he would be great for you guys if you added him to Rome and Colston Loveland, and then Luther Burden. Like that's a hell of a receiving core, dude. Like, because you have a little bit of everything. Rome is like your big physical receiver, right? And then you have Luther Burden, who's like he's a little like skinnier, lankier, but he's like he's pretty. He'll be your number 2.
Speed. He runs he was the most efficient route runner in the NFL.
Yeah, so he's your route guy. He's your route guy, right? Like he's your dependable route runner. Zachariah Branch is your gadget / deep threat guy, or he's the guy that can take a slant 60 yards to the house, Like,
well, yeah, I mean, you've got, and you still, I'm kind of brain farting the young kid. I'm going to get to you in a minute. Hold on. Jahadi Walker. Jahadi Walker, man, that kid, right now, he's 3rd on the depth chart. And that kid, like, he's got some wheels. He's got some big, he's got some big catches already. He's got big playability. So you add another receiver to that mix, that's pretty good. That's actually could be really potentially just wow for the Bears and have such a young. I mean, if you think about it, Rome is the old guy now at year 3.
And the reason I said that about Zachariah Branch, although I mean a receiver period, but Zachariah Branch in particular, is because God forbid, it's like injuries are a part of the NFL, and so if one of those big 3 goes down, right? Like if one of your top 3 right now goes down, you still have a plug and play guy that you can, your offense doesn't miss a beat. Like, you have 4 really good receivers. You would have 4 really good receivers. Like your 1 through 4 are spectacular. So yeah, that'd be a good move.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not so sure about the rest of them from Google AI though. Like, I'm kind of like, eh.
But you know what? Though, like, they could draft an edge. I mean, that's the thing. Is like, I think the Bears will, have a kind of like best available, unless it's at a position where they're just so deep it makes no sense. Like they're not. Obviously, we're not drafting a quarterback. Obviously, we're not drafting, a tight end. We're good there, at least this year.
Yeah, safety.
Yeah, safety. Corner's okay. Safety, linebacker. I mean, look, our linebacking core is not bad. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we brought a guy back who left who was really good for us. I think the linebacking core is actually pretty solid. Um, but D line, O line, wide receivers, sure, I could see. Running back, like Broski alluded to, I could possibly see. But that's like this whole draft for almost every team. Every team, I mean, Yinzer's like, yeah, I don't know what the Steelers get. I just want a quality player. Fred's like, I don't know what the Lions are going to do as long as it's a quality player. Like, we know we have needs for our team, but we don't even have a guy that we're high on. Say,
Yeah.
yeah, we really need to make sure we try to get this guy.
So would you rather have the Bears take the best player at a position of need or the best player available, period? Like, you kind of need an edge. So if Cassius Howell happens to be the best edge on the board when you pick, but there's a guy like at another position who's higher ranked, like is more, an overall better prospect, like, would you rather have them take the best player available or would you rather have them take the best need?
That's not an easy question, Joe. You know that, right? Because there's so many layers to that. So, like, okay, look at the edge position. Like, I look at the Bears' edge right now. We got Dio, who they're high on, right? You got Montez Sweat. Then we got Jeremiah Martin. We've got Austin Booker, who I'm high on, right? So you're like, okay, well, they have their four, but because I think Booker's the heir apparent if Dio isn't the guy who works out, which they're paying $20 million for, and they're talking like he's going to be the next coming to Montez Sweat, so to speak. It's tough because I think part of it goes to the guys I currently have. What are the contract situations, the injury situations, the age situation, right? So if I got a really good young, like I got a stud defensive end there, but I've got a guy who's maybe a better ranked higher or is a better prospect at, I don't know, left tackle. What do I do? Because my left tackle scenario is a little different too, right? I've got Theo Benedict behind, behind a guy behind Theo. I got Theo Benedict, and I've got uh, Braxton Jones, and I'm going to get Ozzie Trapilo back, if not this year, next year. So, what do I really do there? Because I'm already kind of deep at left tackle, but so this guy would have to be a better. In that scenario, like you'd almost have to start right away. Like,
Mhm.
what
Well,
I'm
what
saying?
about
Like,
a corner? Let's say, like, what if there's a high corner on the board still?
Jesus, Fred. Um,
It's like, let's say one of the corners drops, like for example, like Jermod McCoy from Tennessee. He's not ranked as the number one corner overall. That's Mansour Delane, but he's projected to be a mid first round pick. If he's still there at 25, right? Do you take the edge, who's probably the fourth or third or fourth best edge, or do you take the second best corner? You know what I mean?
well, it's like 'cause I got Gordon, and I got Stevenson, and I've got Jalen Johnson, right? And then my backups are Jalen Jones, Dallas Flowers, and I like Josh Blackwell. So yeah, I might take the corner there. I might take the corner because Jalen is long-term contract. Kyler Gordon, is going to be here for a while. Tyreek is probably going to be here for a while too, but you know now he's the man, whereas before he wasn't the man. So maybe I get him for depth initially, where I don't have to play him right away. I don't know.
Well, I think Jermod McCoy, I think he has a real good chance of unseating one of your starting corners. Like as soon as he comes in, he's
and
that type of player.
Or maybe then I could draft him and I could move Tyreek Stevenson to a safety position, and where I think maybe he can be more like
Mhm,
a heavy hitter kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
mhm.
Tyreek Stevenson, we know he can hit. I compared him to Sean Taylor a lot when he came out. But his style of play was a lot like Sean Taylor. So maybe if I move him to free safety or strong safety, I can get more Sean Taylor-esque play out of him,
Mhm.
right? And I can achieve my safety that way. So
And you're not losing anything in the corner room.
right. Yeah, I still got him there, but now I've shored up both rooms, so to speak. So it is tough. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I
not
kind of figured.
yeah, that's not a surprise.
Or
Um, so I
or
mean,
like here's the super hypothetical, right? What if everybody is looking at the arm measurements for Ruben Bain Jr. and he's there at 25? When you go on the clock, Ruben Bain is still there because whatever for whatever reason the teams
Bears
are like
fans will
his
clamor.
arms are like too short to play. I don't think his arm length matters, honestly. He's such an athlete and such a dominating presence. Like I think that dude's going to be good no matter what. But
I I
you
I
know,
think he would be interesting, and I think Bears fans would clamor for it because of the perceived need at defensive end, right? So yes, Bears fans would be like, yes, I would tell you, I would probably say if you quizzed 100 Bears fans, at least 94 of them would say, "Oh, you would take Bain right away." Um, I don't know if I'm part of that 94, but yeah, I mean, I actually I probably would take him because but then again, I don't have as much faith in Dio. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm.
yeah, I know the organization has a lot of faith in Dio right now. All the stuff about his rehab and how he's looking so much better, blah blah blah, blah. And he's going to be the guy that they thought he was going to be. That's great, but I don't have that faith personally. So yeah, I would take Bane right now, not knowing what I don't know about Dio. Because and I like Austin Booker. The dude's becoming a beast, right? Like Jordan Love does not like to see Austin Booker on the field. That much is painfully obvious right now. But yeah, I would probably take Bane. And I said my worst case scenario on that would be like, hey, learn from Montez for a year
Mhm.
and maybe make Montez expendable and that contract that won't carry a lot of dead cap weight if we get rid of him next year.
Or he ends up starting opposite Montez, and you have a dynamic duo at edge rusher. Like, because I really do think I think Bain is going to upset the apple cart when it comes to like exactly. Hutch had short arms too, but you didn't hear as much about it with Hutch. Like people talked about his motor and this and that. Bain has the same kind of traits, and he has more elite traits in my opinion. Like his he's a short ball of muscle. He's just he's super strong. His fast twitch is ridiculous. He's he's powerful. Even with short arms, he can beat. At the college level, he was consistently beating offensive tackles with get off, with speed and bend. Like I think Bain is going to be, but I think there's a chance he could slide, like because of his arm length. So many NFL GMs and scouting departments are so hung up on the measurables, and for good reason. I get it, but my point is just that every once in a while you see a guy who gets passed on because of the measurables, and then he turns out to be a good player. I think Bain is going to be one of those.
I mean, he's the number one ranked defensive end, prospect ranked defensive end in the draft, right? So I
People are
mean,
starting to shift more towards David Bailey because Bailey has the measurables. Like people are kind of looking at Bailey as being the first edge off the board. Um, I really think there's a chance. Like if Bain doesn't go like 8-9 or 8 or 9, there's a chance he could be there in the 20s, or Baltimore might just swoop him up at what is it, 15 or 14. Like I could easily see Baltimore taking him.
yeah, I mean, like if Ruben Bain was there, I think Bears fans would be all clamored and think it's like Christmas. And they might be right. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think he's an interesting draft pick. An interesting draft pick. The Bears are weird for me right now because like we have a pretty solid roster, but I do see need safety, possibly corner. Now that we mentioned it, I could see where they could draft a corner and then maybe solve the safety position by drafting a corner. We've seen teams do that before, right? Hey, team A needs a safety, and they go to the draft and they draft 3 corners and no safeties. But then all of a sudden they don't have a safety issue because they convert these guys from corner to safety all the time. Um, yeah, the Bears, like I don't know what they're weird. They're weird in turn, and I think a lot of teams are in this boat this year because there isn't just that guy who like you're clamoring for that you're like, yeah, my team needs a wide receiver, and that's the guy I got to target because he's hands down the guy. There's like okay, some solid players, a lot of really good solid players who will make impact, but there isn't that chutzpah, to use an old word, about any of these guys.
Hmm.
They're just solid. And then the few that you go, ooh, well, this guy might be exceptional. Oh, he's already had 2 torn ACLs or this injury or that injury history, and they've got some. They're coming with a jacket. You
Or
know,
his
they,
arms are too short.
yeah, they're coming with an injury profile too. It's like, ooh, and I think after the team saw what happened with the Vikings and JJ McCarthy, or even Jaden Daniels for that matter, who had some college injuries too, right? And now they're going, high profile picks that had injury issues in college, and guess what? The injury issues have followed them to the NFL. Hmm. So I think that's kind of dampened the hype train a little bit too.
Mhm. I think this draft is interesting, and I agree with you. I think about the prospects, right? Like you don't have the usual chutzpah, like you said, for specific players. There's not a consensus. Like generally speaking, we can map out the top 10 pretty easily. Year to year, you can say, okay, like this guy may go 6 or he may go 9, but he's going to be a top 10 pick. This year, it's not so easy, and you know all of the big
Dude, you
time
struggle after
prospects,
number one. After number one, it's
all of the
like,
big time prospects come with some sort of question marks, right?
yeah.
It's
I
an
mean, bro,
interesting draft for that
think
reason.
about it. After your pick at number one, it's like no one has any clue. It's like there's no like, oh yeah, this guy should go 2 or 3. There's none of that. It's like, okay, we know who the number one's going to be, and yeah, Dan Orloff tried to create some controversy with Ty Simpson there, but that was, I don't think that's going to ever happen. Everyone knows who the Raiders are going to take. It's the worst kept secret in draft history because, well, unfortunately for the Raiders, there's no way to mask it because after him, there is no consensus. Like, yeah, that's the guy. I mean, whoever was picking number one this year, that's who was going to get drafted. Just 'cause after that, it's just like a crapshoot. Not a crapshoot, but more of a shifting target. There's no consensus. Like that guy needs to be number one or number two. No, there's that guy needs to be number one, and everyone else can go anywhere between 2 and 15.
Hmm. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting draft for that reason to see like where these teams have these players on their board. Because some guys are going to have Arvell Reese higher than Ruben Bain. Some guys are going to have Jeremiah Love as a top 10 or top 5 pick. Like, I think Jeremiah Love is one of the few guarantees, though. I think he's most likely going to go in the top 10. The running back from Notre Dame, because there's too much production and too much ability there. And there are a couple teams in the top 10 that could use a playmaker like him. Tennessee could probably use him. I've seen him mocked there, but I don't know if they use a number 3 or 4 overall pick on a running back. It's possible they do, but I think they might look at offensive tackle or
Yeah, for them, I think they're in a position where does adding the running back make my offensive line better? In other words, have I already done enough with my offensive line that if I add a running back, he is a plus up for them, or are they still in a position where they just get him killed?
well, all they have to do is look at Genty last year. Like, if there's a question on your offensive line, fix that first. Then go get your running back. Yeah, I
Yeah, but I
agree.
mean,
Love is an absolute beast. But if you send him to if Tennessee hasn't addressed their offensive line and you send him to Tennessee, he's going to have the same kind of season Genty had. Like,
but yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, okay, I agree with you, but that's not. But the point was more like Genty made the Raiders' offensive line look better. So in the math, when the Raiders are looking at him last year, like, okay, do we draft Genty and does he do nothing because he's just going to get hammered he's going to get hit before he hits the line of scrimmage on every play? Or was our offensive line, while not that good, good enough where he's going to actually make them a little bit better than what they are now and not get killed in the process? And that's what happened for the Raiders with the second, not the first. So that's why Genty worked out for you guys as well as he did, because he made the left side of your line even better. And your left side was okay, right? It's your right side that you have problems with. With Tennessee, they have to ask themselves, if we get Love, is our offensive line good enough right now where they're not, this kid's not going to be on the IR by the end of the season and a wasted pick? Is our offensive line good enough, manageable enough right now, serviceable enough right now, where he then becomes a force multiplier of that offensive line and takes a mediocre one and makes it a little less mediocre and just dangerous enough to do something now and then? Where we still, yes, we need to work on it, because that's what the Bears had. If you think about it, if you look at the Bears before last year, the Bears line, offensive line was not that good really, but they were good because they had good running backs that upped their level percentage-wise, right? You know what I'm saying? So Tennessee to Love, or Love to Tennessee, makes some sense because he could make that offensive line better, which helps Cam be better, right? So it's kind of like you can improve your offensive line with a running back. But the question is, if you draft the running back, does he improve the offensive line enough to make it worthwhile, or do you draft the guy and then he ends up on a stretcher by week 2? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, and that's why I said if that's why I said for Tennessee, if that's even a question, then I don't think you take Jeremiah Love. Well, they're two different kind of running backs. Like they have two different styles of run playing, but don't knock on Genty though. Like he had, his rookie year was still pretty impressive, especially when you consider the fact that he was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage on 50% of his carries or more. I actually think Genty's going to have a breakout year this year. I think I really think there's a chance he goes for 1,500 yards. Like,
but I mean, see, though, Joe, the Love can make. You can see how though even by the Genty argumentation, Love can make some sense for them.
yeah, no, I that's why I said it. But I think they have to be really honest with themselves about where their offensive line is at. If you feel that your offensive line can support that kind of a pick, then he's going to be a net positive to your team. He's going to, the things that he can do is going to help out your young quarterback. It's just, if that's a question, if you're sitting there like, I don't know if my offensive line is good enough at this point, then you have to take an offensive lineman and you have to like address that first, because there's other good running backs in the draft. They're not Jeremiah Love, but no, and I know you're not knocking Genty, but I'm just, it's an expression. I say, don't knock Genty. Like it seems like you're more high on Jeremiah Love, and that's fine. Personally, I like Jeremiah Love too. I'm a Notre Dame guy. I watch Notre Dame play football.
Just the name,
but they're just different games. Like to me, Genty has all the traits to be an elite running back, and Jeremiah Love has those traits too. But they're going to be different kind of guys.
In Steve's perfect world, Jeremiah Love falls to the Packers in the second round because it's Love to Love.
Man, I mean, that would be a hell of a running back room if you could get Jeremiah Love in there with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. And that's just the thing about this draft, though. It's like, even with guys like, or at 3, that could make sense. We're like, it's just that kind of draft. I don't know. I'm finding it really hard to get hyped for this. And I don't know, it's part of it. Just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that we're not hyping people as being generational and the hype trains aren't out of control like they normally are. But at the same time, I'm having a hard time getting into this draft because there's just, I mean, it's just kind of like, okay, like solid players. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some guys to be excited about when they come to your roster, right? In the first 2 rounds, there's a lot of talent, but there's not any of that talent that makes you go, dude, they're gonna set the world on fire when they get here. Or
Mhm.
they're gonna be my team right now is just outside the playoff bubble. Now they're gonna be in it because we get this guy.
Yeah.
There isn't any of that this year. I don't know. I mean,
I would even argue that Mendoza is in that category too. Like I think Mendoza has earned the spot to go number 1 overall, but there's no guarantees. Like there's knocks on him too. There's questions about him. Is he
yeah, but
is
the
he
but
is
there
he the
are
best
other
quarterback
options.
in a bad class? Like,
Well, that's
or,
okay, 'cause the other option is Ty Simpson, who was like a second round guy into Dan Orlovsky started saying, "Oh no, he should be number 1." Now all of a sudden he's a another first rounder possibly. I mean, this is a bad class for quarterbacks. We knew it. We've been saying it all year.
Mhm.
And I get it. He tried to create a little controversy with Ty. They don't know Ty is just as good. But, I mean, this could be a really horrible Kenny Pickett type of year, like where there's one guy taken in the first round. It may happen to only be the first round pick. The number 1 pick might be the only quarterback taken. But it's just that kind of, and that's even at wide receiver. There's not like a couple years ago we had that trio of wide receivers coming out. You're like, wow, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, all 3 are going to be phenomenal NFL players, and everyone just kind of knew it. That draft was special. You had some really good. You had what 6 quarterbacks in the first 12, 3 wide receivers in the first 10. I mean, it was ridiculously talented. This draft, there's no grouping like that where you have like 2 or 3 running backs or 2 or 3 receivers or 2 or 3 quarterbacks to kind of get buzz. It's like, yeah, there's a good linebacker, there's a good edge, okay, there's a good safety over there. I don't know, is there even a good tight end in this draft? I don't, like that. I mean, it's lacking that clash of player A or player B. It just solid players, but there's no like, oh well, this guy's definitely gonna be a lot better than this guy kind of thing going.
Mhm. And
Oh,
I think it's a better. It looks to be a better defensive draft, at least in the first round. Like there a lot more defensive talent than offensive talent. Like there's a few receivers, but everybody is all over the board with them. Like I've seen, like Mekhi Lemon from USC, right? I've seen him mocked at 11 all the way down to like 23. Like
well, and then on the
that's a pretty big
side,
range for a first round pick.
well, then on the defensive side, some of the better corners and safeties and stuff like that have injury concerns, and that muddies the water even further this year. I mean,
Yeah.
but you know what's ironic, Joe? 5 years from now, we may look back at this draft and go, "This was a phenomenal draft." There's so many solid players that are still in the league, making big money, making big impact. The problem is at the point of impact of the draft, there's no consensus. It's just a lot of really good, solid players with a couple question marks because of injury or short arms, or it's not talent based for the most part. But there's just not one guy who stands out. There's just a lot of really good players, and it's like 5 years from now, we may look at this draft and find that this is one of the most productive drafts in the NFL because a lot of these guys are still, all are still on teams 5 years later. You
Or
know,
the other side of that is we
they could
could
all
look
be
back
gone.
and say this was an absolutely
Right,
terrible draft. Most of the
right.
first rounders busted and or it could be, just a regular draft. But I think that's what makes this draft interesting is the lack of knowing. It's like this is the first draft in a couple years where it's like you really are just guessing. Like you don't have those assurances that you might have with some players. Like everybody knew Malik Neighbors was going to be good. Like everybody knew that. Everybody thought Marvin Harrison was going to be good, and he hasn't panned out the way that everyone wanted
But
him
he's
to.
still good. That's the
But
thing.
he's
Still
not
good.
dog shit, but he's,
Right,
Arizona is like
right.
secretly or kind of under their breath they're talking about maybe trading him. But Roma Dunze, everybody figured this guy's going to be good, right? And he's panned out. With this draft, you don't have those assurances, right? You just have you have their traits, you have their question marks, and you have to decide like, are the question marks, do they outweigh the traits,
You know what
what
this
we see on
draft?
the film?
You know, it's baseball season, so let's do this analogy. This game is like watching a pitcher's duel. It's boring for most people. It's boring. Nothing's happening. The pitcher's going out there. He's throwing, 9 to 15 pitches maximum, striking out the side or just getting 3 quick outs and going back to the dugout. Versus a game that's like a home run derby where they're calling out to the bullpen every 5 or 6 batters it seems, and there's a lot of things going on. This game is just kind of like procedural. It's like a procedural game. It's like there's no flash to it. There's no home run being hit, no double in the corner, no guy legging out a triple. It's like batters are coming up, pitchers are mowing them down. You can't even get a bunt. Someone's going to finally try to do a bunt single to get something going in the ninth inning, or maybe that's what it feels like right now. It's like one of those games where it's like, yeah, it's a pitcher's duel. There's a lot of good stuff going on in a pitcher's duel, right? Because it's a pitcher's duel, no score. We're just waiting for something to happen, and that's what this draft feels like. We're waiting for something to happen. We're waiting for there to be buzz or be that guy that's like, yeah, that's the guy we need to get. This is the stat nerd's dream draft versus just a fan's dream, I guess would be another way of putting it. Like the stat nerds have, they're all about what's going on right now. They're able to break down, because really you're looking at the stat nerds right now going, who's the guy? Because there's not a guy we can say, hey, we watched on Saturday and like, oh yeah, I can't wait till this guy gets to the NFL.
And I mean, we're still 3.5 weeks out from the draft, so we haven't hit that. It's usually like that area of like 10 days to the draft to like the day of the draft, where like somebody's gonna fuck up. Somebody's
but
gonna do something bad.
But by this point, in the last couple of years, we've been hearing about the 30 visits and all this other stuff moving around. Dude, it's been quiet. You're barely hearing about any 30 visits at all. Yeah, we've seen a couple that were reported, but for the most part, they're not even reporting the 30 visits this year.
Mhm.
It's a very quiet. The GMs and the staffs are still working their ass off. It's still a million miles per minute over there. We're just not hearing about it this year. Like we don't know. I mean, they're probably working harder this year because the choices aren't as clear. But we're not hearing about the 30 visits. We're not hearing about the as much about the pro days. We didn't hear as much about the pro days as we have the last 3 to 5 years. The combine was just kind of like, yeah, it's here. You didn't hear much about the combine this year. It was pretty quiet. There was like no, oh my God, did you see this guy or that guy or the other guy at the combine even? It's all been very quiet. It's just a solid group of guys coming into this draft, and it's very quiet. And after Mendoza, okay, so Steve's buying, going the Orlovsky route. After Mendoza and Tyson, I don't know if that's even an argument, to be honest with you.
Not to me.
And to be honest with you, during the football year, you didn't hear about either of these guys that much to begin with, anyways, until you got to BCS time. Like during the week 3 of the NFL, you didn't hear, oh yeah, I can't wait for Mendoza to come out next year or Simpson. No, you were hearing about, can't wait for Manning to come out a year after this, right? So it's that kind of year, it's that kind of draft. It's like we're put this way, a lot of us are gonna have a lot of research to do on the guys that get drafted by our teams this year, and the highlight reels might be a little harder to find. It's just that kind of year, solid guys who I think people will be happy with, but just really, really hard to get everyone hyped for the draft this year. And also, it's in Pittsburgh, so I'm like, it's hard to get hyped on having to go to Pittsburgh. I'm waiting for him to fire back at me and say something nasty.
Yeah, I could see that. It's more of a contributors draft rather than a superstars draft.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Like
yeah.
you're gonna get some solid players who will, they'll contribute, and a lot, probably a good chunk of them can contribute right away. But you're not going to get anybody that's setting the world on fire in year 1 or 2.
Well,
Like,
I don't know. It could be, but what made me? It could be a Colson Loveland draft. You know what I mean by that?
Like under the radar.
Yeah, last year everyone talked about Warren at tight end. After him, they didn't talk about tight ends at all. And what the Bears do? They went and got Loveland. They took him ahead of Warren. And Tyler Warren still had a great year with Indianapolis. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't have a Colson Loveland impact year like Loveland had in Chicago.
Well, and to be fair, Daniel
There it
Jones went
is.
down.
There it is. Thank you. I was waiting for that.
To be fair, Daniel Jones went down, and so that affected his productivity. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when they're trotting out backup quarterbacks. But
But
yeah,
Loveland is a guy that no one talked about really
yeah,
coming in the
you're
draft
right.
last year. And now he's a stud star in this league. I mean, it could be some of that too, and it's hard because no one talked about Colson Love. That's when we drafted, and a lot of Bears fans were like, "Well, we thought we were going to draft a tight end possibly, but who's Loveland?" And some were mad that we didn't draft Warren, and all of a sudden we're trying to find tape, and then like it's like, oh well, this guy kind of fits what Ben Johnson does more. Okay, cool, but why weren't we talking about him before the draft then? I mean, this could be kind of one of those things with a lot of us with our teams. Is like, that's what I'm saying with the Bears. I think that's what Broski was when he was saying we may take a running back. That's kind of an attempt at that. Because why would the Bears take a running back looking at the running back room right now? It's good. Or at least why would they take one in the first or second round even? Like, so I mean, it's that kind of draft. It's just like, yeah, the Bears aren't going to take a tight end. They're not going to take a quarterback. But after that, I couldn't tell you what the Bears would not draft.
Yeah, I agree, Yinzer, and I don't think that he deserves the hate. I think he made a mistake by coming out this year, though. I think another year of starting would have really helped him. I think that's the biggest knock on him. Yeah, the biggest knock on him is his lack of experience. I think he has all the tools. Like I've said it. Remember when the college season was going on? I said, "Man, this kid Ty Simpson, like he shows advanced processing. When it comes to reading defenses and stuff."
Mitch Trubisky had 11 starts, looked really good coming out of North Carolina, and where is he now? And that's the problem on Ty Simpson, right? 10 starts, but I understand why he came out because next year you got to deal with a Manning. I understand. Okay, I'm going to get out ahead of Manning. I get that, right? I don't know if it's going to be all three. I would be surprised if it was all three, Reggie. I would be surprised. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, but there's a huge difference there, Steve. Like, look at J.J. McCarthy when they won the national championship, and look at what Mendoza did in that national championship game. Like, I do think that the hype on Mendoza is really, really high. And I don't know if it's.
But once again, that's why they have Kirk Cousins there now, and that's why you also have Tom Brady in the building. So there's another difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be an immediate superstar. Like, I don't know. Like, I know that he has the tools. Like, he can make every throw on the field. He's a smart player. He's good at diagnosing defenses. He has good leadership. He has all the traits that you look for. He's not the most athletic guy in the world. It's a question mark, but I do think.
Well, it's a question mark. We'll have to talk more about tomorrow because we're out of time for this morning.
Yeah.
Like I did that. And real quick, yes, Arch Manning is just a name. It wouldn't be surprised if a year from now, Joe and I are saying, wow, Arch Manning might not even be in the first round. We'll see. Some questions for tomorrow that we can talk about. Ken may or may not be here tomorrow, but he will be back Wednesday. I'll be out of town Wednesday. I'll be doing Air Force Day. But for Joe and myself, thank you guys for being with us this morning. Enjoy your Monday. Enjoy the good weather. It's getting nice out there. So get out and touch some grass. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.